After Ukraine's stunning victory in Kherson, attention is quickly shifting to the strategic Kinburn Peninsula in the south of Ukraine.
A new report by intergovernmental organisation IDEA finds that more countries are moving towards authoritarianism as democracy erodes worldwide.
Signs of destruction are everywhere in the Mykolaiv region of South Ukraine. But after the recapture of Kherson from Russia, Kyiv is pressing on. It now has its sights on the strategically important Kinburn Peninsula. It juts out from the south bank of the Dnieper River, possibly allowing Ukraine to outflank Russian soldiers if it's captured. But before that, mines need to be cleared. This Ukrainian army engineer says, "We have searched 2 hectares and found 50 mines. 10 of them were visible." Further away in the eastern Donetsk region, Ukrainian soldiers are using a multiple rocket launcher to target Russian supply lines. One soldier said, "We move to a position, take a position, deploy the car, aim and fire. After that, we quickly roll up and leave the shooting site." Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry claims their troops have hit a Ukrainian weapons depot in Zaporizhia, as well as killing dozens of Ukrainian troops in the Donetsk region, in Kharkiv and in Kherson. It also says it shot down 9 Ukrainian unmanned drones. However, Kyiv's forces say they're determined to hold strong, despite the heavy Russian artillery bombardment. More than 70,000 euros has been collected in donations in just 10 days in the Czech Republic to provide much-needed generators for Ukraine. 36 will leave for the country this week to help areas without power, especially in the south and east. The director of this charity said, "In Ukraine, the #1 priority right now is generators, generators and generators again. And of course direct heaters that are independent of electricity. We even managed to get one refurbished large 400 kilovolt generator. I don't want to give a specific location, but it will provide power for a water plant for a town of around 100,000 people." And it's not just the Czech Republic who is sending generators to Ukraine. Poland is also keen to help. In Kherson, local authorities have set up many charging points in a city which has endured 260 Russian bombings in just 1 week. Elsewhere, regions are often connected to the power system for just a few hours a day. The Prime Minister of Ukraine says, "Yes, the situation is difficult. There is a deficit, but with a deficiency of 30% in the network system costs and priority recovery of critical infrastructure for the population in each region, 50 to 60% remains to cover needs. That is enough to evenly distribute a load of forced shutdowns among all consumers." The Ukrainian Prime Minister added that he thought there would be enough resources to get through the winter period like this.
Democracy is eroding across the world, according to a new report by the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance, or IDEA. The findings show more countries are moving away from democracy and towards authoritarianism. A bleak picture that's not just true for young and fragile countries, but also for long-established nations like India or the United States. The International IDEA Secretary General Kevin Casas-Zamora says Europe is doing well in general. Countries like Slovenia and Moldova have made remarkable progress recently. However, democratic standards in Europe tend to plateau, meaning progress is still possible but is not always achieved. This can lead to some disillusioned citizens seeking other ways to fulfill their expectations.
That dissatisfaction manifests itself in very strident political attitudes that often scapegoat parts of the population and embrace particularly the message of far-right parties
Casa Zamora encourages defending what embodies democratic societies such as free press, fair elections and checks and balances. Casa Zamora also argues that societies need to continue to expand and renew democracy through initiatives like citizens' assemblies or youth activism. Across the world, many show examples of resilience when democracy is absent or under threat. Ukrainians resisting Russia's war of aggression, Iranian women fighting a theocratic dictatorship, or Chinese citizens protesting the government's zero-COVID policy. The report insists vigilance must prevail as the global state of democracy remains fragile and not in a better situation than it was in 1990.
French President Emmanuel Macron has arrived in Washington, D.C. as the guest for the first state visit of Joe Biden's presidency. It'll be a revival of diplomatic pageantry that's been on hold because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Macron and Biden will meet at the White House with a long agenda planned for Thursday.
If you look at what's going on in Ukraine, look at what's going on in the Indo-Pacific and the tensions with China. France is really at the center of all those things. And President Macron has been a dynamic leader inside the G7, particularly there in Europe. And so the president felt that this was exactly the right and the most appropriate country to start with for state visits.
It's a significant visit from America's oldest ally, and the White House has been preparing for his arrival for days.
I volunteered to help decorate the White House the last 3 days, and I was there Monday when they did the revealing, and so he's going to see such beautiful Christmas decorations in there, and it's going to be overwhelming because it was a lot of people came in from all over the states to help.
The last time Macron visited the White House was in April 2018 to meet President Donald Trump. On Friday, he will head to New Orleans to announce plans to expand programming to support French language education in US schools. French butchers and sausage makers protested on Tuesday against the soaring prices of energy outside the lower house of Parliament. They're complaining about the rising cost of refrigerating their meat and urge butcher shops to turn off the lights as a symbolic gesture against the rising costs of electricity. Activists want the government to adopt similar policies to those found in Germany, Spain and Portugal, where gas and electricity prices are not index-linked, and as a result 4 to 5 times less expensive than in France.
Despite rising energy prices, Juana is not afraid to turn on the lights. She is part of Europe's first local energy community, based in the village of El Realengo, in the Spanish province of Alicante.
We haven't had to make any investment like other neighbourhood communities. So the way the price of electricity is now, if you have a saving of between 20% and 22%, you can see it on your bill.
The local 100-year cooperative has started installing solar panels at no additional cost to the residents. It satisfies around 50% of the area's energy needs. The guiding principle is solidarity.
Someone who's at home during the day, which is when the sun is shining, can use this cheaper electricity more easily than someone who uses most of their electricity in the night. Therefore, we designed a system to ensure that everyone can share the cheap energy.
The neighbours also decided to build a basketball court and a children's park just next to the solar panels installation.
After the success achieved in the town of El Realengo, the aim is to extend the energy community to the entire municipality of Crevillente, where some 30,000 people live.
The town energy cooperative aims to have 21 installations in total. However, the mayor of Crevillente has identified at least one problem.
We are in a country where there is a regime of oligopoly of certain private companies. This lobby hinders a much broader democratized energy law and real competition.
There are currently more than 30 such energy communities in Spain.